Level 1, the Ashigaru. You are born the third son of a rice farmer in the Kurenai domain. Third sons inherit nothing here, not land, not a name. Your family works 4 acres that will never be yours. At 16, the domain conscripts you anyway. Conscription officers don't ask if you're willing. They only count how many mouths a household can lose. A sergeant hands you a number instead of a name. Spear 9, ninth man in a company of 40. 40 spears built to be replaced, not remembered. Then your first skirmish comes at a rice paddy with no name. An arrow drops the man beside you before he sees it coming. For 1 full second, you don't move. Your legs simply refuse the order your head gives them. The sergeant has a word for that second. He calls it the coward's breath. It costs that man his life. It should have cost you yours too. Soon the fighting ends. The counting begins. 9 men dead. You are not one of them. You expect to be flogged for freezing. Instead, a samurai on horseback reigns in front of you. The other spears already have a name for him. The Lord's Crow. He only lands where something is about to die. His name is Izumu Kuroda. He doesn't ask why you hesitated. He asks why you didn't run when every other spear did. You don't have an answer. Kuroda doesn't wait for one. He tells your sergeant you're needed elsewhere. No one argues with a samurai. He doesn't introduce himself as your new teacher. He just starts walking toward Katsura Keep. Now you're walking away from the spear line, still holding the number 9 like it's the only thing you own. You don't know it yet. The coward's breath just saved your life. Level 2, the apprentice. Kuroda's dojo sits behind Katsura Keep. You are not a student there. You're a servant who sleeps in the tool shed. The other servants warn you not to speak unless Kuroda speaks first. You learned fast the warning wasn't an exaggeration. Every morning starts before the sun. 300 sword draws against empty air. Real students train inside where it's dry. You train outside in the mud where Kuroda can watch through the window. One of those real students is Tetsuya Amano. Born into a samurai house, already better than men twice his age. His family has produced a Kurenai retainer for 4 generations straight. Yours has produced exactly 1, and he hasn't earned the title yet. Tetsuya calls you Spear 9 whenever Kuroda isn't listening. It is not a compliment. Then, on your 100th morning, Kuroda finally corrects your grip. No praise attached to it. He is teaching you a technique called the crane's weight. Draw late, draw once, draw right. He makes you practice against a hanging rope instead of a person, until the rope stops swinging before your blade even finishes moving. It is built for men exactly like you, men whose hands move slower than their fear does. Soon you understand what Kuroda already knew the day he pulled you from the line. Your hesitation was never weakness. It was a habit nobody had trained yet. For the first time, you draw the blade in one motion. No flinching first and drawing second. Tetsuya sees it happen. He stops calling you Spear 9 that same afternoon. Instead, he starts calling you nothing at all, which is worse. One evening, Kuroda finally names the law every samurai lives inside. Giri, duty before self. Beneath Giri, one rule harder than any sword technique. A blade drawn before your lord gives the order costs its owner's life. Not the enemy's, yours. You ask him why anyone would follow a law like that. He tells you the law was never there to protect your enemies. It's there to prove your loyalty isn't a performance. The night before your naming ceremony, Kuroda tells you something else. A name is only a debt with better manners. Every debt gets called in eventually. Later that year, the Kurenai clan takes you formally into its service. You are no longer Spear 9. You are a Nano Kurenai. You keep one thing from your old life, the broken iron tip of your bamboo spear. Level 3, the Bushi. 2 years later, you stand in the front line of a real siege. Katsura Keep is under attack from the neighboring Anami clan. By the second day, you can make out their crest without a spyglass. You wear lacquered armor now instead of a farmer's tunic. A katana instead of a bamboo spear. Tetsuya fights beside you, not because he respects you. Lord Kurenai ordered it, and orders are the one thing neither of you breaks. The siege lasts 6 days. On the 4th, an Anami officer breaches the inner gate alone. He moves straight toward Lord Kurenai's own chambers. Tetsuya's orders keep him at the Lord's side, not the gate. That's the only reason you're the one standing there. You are close enough to stop him. Your lord is not close enough to give the order. For 3 full seconds, you remember Kuroda's law. A blade drawn before the order is given costs its owner his life. Then you remember the coward's breath and the man it once cost. You draw anyway. You cut the officer down 2 steps from the chamber door. You save your lord's life. You break the one law every samurai is built around. A sealed scroll falls from the officer's sleeve as he drops. You hand it to the guard captain unread, the way Giri demands. You think nothing more of it. Lord Kurenai never has to choose between his life and his law. You already chose for him. Soon the keep is safe. The siege is broken. None of that matters to the law. Kuroda warned you it never would. The council chamber is colder than the battlefield ever was. Nobody in it was ever shot at. Tetsuya is asked to speak first, since he witnessed everything. For the first time since you've known him, he hesitates before answering. He tells the council exactly what happened. He doesn't lie, and he doesn't soften it. The law was written for moments exactly like this one. Precisely so it would never bend for a good enough reason. Lord Kurenai owes you his life and strips you of your name anyway. You are no longer Nano Kurenai. The surname Kuroda gave you is the first thing they take back. Kuroda argued for you for nearly an hour before the council convened. He lost every argument he made. That evening, they take everything else. No one thinks to look for the spear tip. Level 4, the Ronin. Now you own nothing the Kurenai clan didn't give you first. The Kurenai clan has taken all of it back. You are Ronin, not a rank in absence of one. Tetsuya is the one sent to deliver the decree. Lord Kurenai can't bring himself to say the words to the man who saved his life. Tetsuya reads it without looking up from the scroll. It's the easiest order he's ever followed and the worst one he's ever wanted to give. You leave Katsura Keep on foot the same way you arrived. This time you're leaving a name behind instead of finding one. For the first time since Kuroda pulled you from the spear line, no one calls you anything at all. Villages you pass don't take in Ronin. A masterless samurai is a debt with a sword attached. No one wants to be the one who's owed. One night you sleep in a shrine. The priest is too polite to turn away a man carrying a blade. He feeds you before he asks a single question. More mercy than the council ever showed. He asks what law you broke. You tell him you broke the only one that ever mattered. He asks if you'd break it again. You don't answer right away. For once, the hesitation isn't the coward's breath. It's just an honest question taking its time. Eventually you tell him yes. He nods like that's the answer he expected. Word travels faster than you do. Men already know the story of the samurai who drew before the order. Some call you a coward for hesitating those 3 seconds. Some call you something worse for moving at all. You start to understand the law was never about your lord's life. It was about making sure no one below him decides what his life is worth. You still have the answer you gave the priest. You'd draw again. Level 5, the Masterless Blade. Winter comes, and with it work no samurai with a lord would ever take. A fishing village on the coast is being emptied one harvest at a time. A bandit named Gorobe, a former Ashigaru who never found his own Kuroda. Gorobe's men have taken this harvest twice before. Nobody in the village believes a third time will end differently. Until you tell them it will. The village elder can't pay you in honor, only in rice. For the first time in your life, that's an even trade. You spend 3 weeks teaching farmers to hold a spear. The way you once held spear 9s, badly, then a little less badly. You teach them the crane's weight stripped down to 1 sentence. Don't move until you know exactly why you're moving. When Gorobe's men come for the harvest, you're the only blade standing between them and it. You draw before anyone gives you an order. For the first time in years, there's no one left whose order you're waiting for. The fight lasts 4 minutes. Gorobe doesn't survive the third. Afterward, the elder offers you a place in the village. A real roof, a real name. You turn it down without knowing exactly why. The villagers don't have a word for the pause before your final cut. To them, it just looks like patience. You start to understand the coward's breath was never the real problem. Drawing without anyone's permission to protect the wrong thing, that was always the risk. One spring morning, a familiar face finds you repairing a fishing net. Tetsuya finds you before you find him. That tells you everything about how much he needed to. He's out of Kurenai colors for the first time you've ever seen him. He tells you the Lord's own council has been hiding the truth. The officer wasn't breaching the chamber to kill the Lord. He was carrying proof the council had been trading Kurenai's secrets to the Anami clan for 2 years. Tetsuya only learned this last month. He isn't asking you to forgive the decree. He's asking you to help him finish it. He tells you the sealed scroll you handed over unread is the same scroll the council buried. Giri made you deliver the one piece of evidence that could have saved your name. Level 6, the legend. You return to Katsura Keep for the first time since you left it as a masterless man. The same guards who once read you the decree open the gate for you now. None of them meet your eyes. Tetsuya walks in beside you, not behind you. First time since the two of you trained in the same mud. The council that stripped your name is the same council that buried the proof of its own betrayal. You don't draw first this time. You let Tetsuya lay the evidence in front of Lord Kurenai, in full view of the men who signed your decree. Then, you speak. For the first time since the trial, someone with the power to answer actually listens. Lord Kurenai reads the proof twice. Then he does something the law never accounted for. He asks what you want instead of telling you what you're owed. He doesn't apologize. Bushido doesn't have a word for that, but he comes as close as the law allows him to. You don't ask for the surname back. Kuroda already gave you the only name that ever mattered. No council ever really had the power to take it. You ask for something the law has never once granted a Ronin. The right to teach. Lord Kurenai grants it before the council can object. Objecting to you twice would cost him more than agreeing ever could. You take the reforged spear tip you carried through every rank you ever held or lost. You have it folded into a new blade at the same forge that made your first katana. The smith names it before you can. He calls it the Nine's Edge after the number you started as. Your first student is a farmer's third son who flinches at his own practice sword. You don't correct his hesitation. You teach him what Kuroda taught you. The coward's breath was never the flaw. Somewhere behind you, Tetsuya is already telling the council the dojo needs a second instructor. He already knows exactly who they should ask. You never go looking for Gorobei's replacement, or the next bandit, or the next war. Peace turns out to be the one thing the code never trained you for. If you made it all the way to the end, you're officially at the final level. Subscribe for the next journey, leave your ideas in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.